Today, let's talk about fear and anxiety along with ways to address it. For the purpose of our chat, I'm going to be speaking about a lifelong phobia of mine. I happen to be terrified of spiders. Yes, I know they're harmless little creatures, well, most of them anyway, and they're great for our ecosystem because they help control the insect population. These are things that I'm very aware of, logically anyway. But for some reason, every time I see a spider, it triggers all my primal defense mechanisms. I'm talking fight, flight, freeze, and even the reflex to burn down my house to save myself, all the while screaming every man for himself. Needless to say, I do not like them. So story time. All of my therapists out there will understand this. If you're working with a client on an issue, God will challenge your skill set in that area. And apparently, that day had arrived. I was working with a client on her anxiety, and we were peacefully working on our breathing. Deep breath in, and slowly release. Out of the corner of my eye, I see something slightly move about a foot away from my chair. I immediately recognize it as something out of my worst nightmare. I had locked eyes with a huge wolf spider. If you have a fear of spiders, then I do not recommend you Googling it. I completely froze. My mind was racing, but my body would not move. I felt sweat droplets begin to form on my face. My client had not noticed our guest, as it almost perfectly blended in with the carpet. In a split second, I had a choice to make. One, I could run irrationally out of the office screaming, or I could be vulnerable and practice what I preach. The spider was not moving, thank God, so this bought me some time. I knew the first step was to try and calm my sympathetic nervous system. I began to really focus on my breathing. I tried to match the pace and speed of my client's breathing. I focused on the soothing music playing in the office. The next step was the hardest. I had to try to reframe my thoughts to be more compassionate. If I said something like, "Jessica, why is this such a big deal? You shouldn't be afraid of one little spider. That's stupid. What's wrong with you?" This would have only created more anxiety and stress in the moment. So instead, my inner dialogue looked more like this. "I'm afraid right now, and that's okay. I've had this fear since I was very young, so it makes sense that my anxiety is triggered. I also have tools and knowledge that I didn't have before to help me navigate this situation." I also told myself that the reason that the spider wasn't moving was because it was afraid too. I don't actually know how valid that thought was, but it helped me in the moment. Eventually, I clued my client in on the situation because I didn't want them to be scared or be in a very uncomfortable spot if our friend decided to move. I was able to remain calm and place a plastic cup, and then, knowing my own limits, ask a colleague who's not afraid of spiders to safely remove it. Major moral of the story: it's okay to ask for help if you're struggling. That's a healthy coping mechanism. I look back on that session and I'm really proud of myself. I faced a lifelong fear that day. Did I hold the spider? Nope. Do I have it as a pet? Also no. But I did practice a skill set and challenge my anxiety. If I can do it, so can you, even if you think you can't. Take a deep breath, reframe your thoughts, focus on the task at hand, and face your fear. In my case, it was Ralph, because after our encounter, I think he deserves a proper name. Don't you?